back on the Morning Brew, and this is great. We got Megan Gomez with us this morning, and you are the director of Bocón. Now, Bocón means what again?
It means loudmouth in Spanish.
That's awesome. But that's a term that people should have, I should have heard that years ago. But there is a local version of that too. There's a local.
Yeah, I've heard the local version is boca rota.
And I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
So the play that you guys have, you're taking it on the road. It's called Bocón.
Right.
And is it about somebody who is a loudmouth?
It is. So our main character, Miguel, who you'll see later, he is a 12-year-old boy from a Central American country. We don't specify which one. And he's got a really loud mouth,
In both languages, in English and in Spanish,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a bilingual play, which is
yes,
really fun.
That is fun.
But yeah, the play is actually about Bocón fleeing his country because of a military regime. And, but in the process of fleeing, he watches his parents being taken away, and the fear of it makes him literally lose his voice. So the entire play is him trying to not only get to Los Angeles and cross the border, but it's also to reconnect with his voice.
Very cool. So how did you come to this play? How did you find it? Or did you write this? Did it come to you? Like what?
I wish I wrote it. No, we actually, the Working Classroom produced this play for their 10-year anniversary. It is now, we've now been around for 27 years. And last year, when we were looking for a play for a guest director who was an alumni in the program, Rebecca Mayorga, we picked Bocón because it's a really fantastic play. It's short, it's really about something, and it manages to be both funny and dark, and it's really about something, and it really tells a very specific story, but it's a really universal message.
Well, sometimes the more specific the story is, the more relatable it is to everybody.
Right.
Right? And I think a play like this, too, it sounds like it could almost be contemporary. I mean, from what you hear about the world, I mean, you could apply this person's story to almost any continent, I think, on the globe right now.
Well, that's absolutely true, and that's one of the reasons we really wanted to do this again. One statistic that really sticks out in my head that I find quite compelling is that 30 years ago, when this play was written, there were 20,000 immigrants being deported.
From the U.S.?
Worldwide.
Oh, worldwide, okay.
Worldwide. And now, 30 years later, that number is up to 400,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's crazy that a play that was written 30 years ago is actually more timely now than it was when it was written.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, and you get to direct this one.
Yeah.
And so how do you... I mean, I know you're working with student actors and it's a student-produced piece in many ways, right?
Yes.
And how do you translate that kind of historical knowledge and the idea of, this grand fear into students who are probably new to studying the world and looking at news in this kinds of way?
Well, I think that one of the things that Working Classroom does really well is that it's not just about the art and theater that we create. We also have two other pillars of education and social justice. So every student who comes into Working Classroom starts to develop a worldview. So we always try to tackle these ideas when it's in their professional development time or throughout the classes that they take. So I think that the students who come to Working Classroom have become really familiar and comfortable with the idea that they're not just about creating art, they're about creating work that has a message and that they care about.
Very cool.
Which is really a very special thing for them.
Right. Is that something that you think a lot of these students kind of fall into, or is it something they're born with? Is it something you find in people?
I think it takes many different stripes. I think that there's a lot of students that before they come to Working Classroom don't really know anything about immigration or the state of various political situations. But then by being in an environment where it's okay to learn about those things and where you're encouraged to ask questions, not just fed information, they start to get really excited about it. And of course we do get those students who come in right out of the gate and really care about this stuff. But I find that with our students, a lot of them, if they didn't know about it coming in, they start to get quite passionate about it once they start learning.
Cool. Well, I know you guys have this play, the Bocón play. But what's coming up next on the slate? I know there's There's lots of stuff you guys are doing.
There are lots of things. Well, on the opening night of the play, which is this Friday, we will be doing the Best of 2015 art show, curated by our visual art director, Rosalie Lopez. And then afterwards for theater, I'm actually going to be holding a class that I'll be teaching called Theater for Civic Engagement.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
It is. It's really interesting. Basically, it's the beginning of a 1.5-year long project where I'm going to be taking 6 to 10 students and talking deeply about educational inequity.
Oh.
And talking about what it is to be a student now in this climate. And so we'll be creating an original play based on a series of workshops that we'll be doing with myself and also with Tectonic Theater Project from New York City.
Will you bring that here to the show?
I would love to.
We will see you in a 1.5 years on that then.
Sounds great.
And then, but right now we actually have some of the actors from Bocón. This is Jess and Roberto, and you guys are, well, take it away, guys.
But how did the people disappear, Papa? I mean, does the Earth just open up and suck them in, or maybe it's the duendes, those little green people that like to trick into their caves, or maybe it's the ships that come down from the sky, or maybe it's the
soldiers.
I know.
Vámonos. Norte, Miguel. North.
But why are the soldiers so angry with us, Papa? I mean, if the soldiers are supposed to protect us, why is everybody afraid of them?
It's a long story.
A lot of my father's stories were long, but it was a long walk to the fields.
When the Earth was about your age, there was only one man, Adam.
I know, the guy who ate the apple, and he said, "This apple is so good, I'm going to
Sell it. Well, God didn't like Adam selling his apples because they weren't Adam's apples.
Adam's apples."
They're the Earth's apples. And God was so angry that he took his machete and chopped Adam in 3.
Como una manzana.
Like an apple. See? And God said, Adam, I'm going to take your head, Adam, and out of your head I'm going to make the rich man. Just a big head, and a pair of hands for grabbing. Then I'm going to take your arms and your back, Adam, and make the poor man. And the poor man will work the fields to put food in the rich man's mouth. A ver, ¿qué falta? What's left?
The foot. Well, see. And God said, Adam, I'm going to take your foot, Adam, and out of your foot I'll make
The soldier. And the soldier kicked the poor man to do a rich man's work forever. Y ya, mijo, that's the world. Pues, Adam forgot that he used to be one man, and all that's changed in thousands of years. Now soldiers got a boot, a dirty one too, fea, y cochina también.
Oh, Papa, not so loud, Papa. The soldiers will hear you. Well, they'll think you're laughing at them.
But I am laughing at them. Big, ugly boot, smelly, fea y pesosa también. But one day, mijo, the poor man's going to put down his machete and use his arms to tell the boot, no more. See?
Well, see, Papa.
No más. Eso. Soon. A trabajar.
In a couple of seconds, we'll be back with our friends from the Rotary Club on the Morning Brew with Friends.